Much. I'd like to call to order the Millbrook Valley Trails Advisory Committee for September 25th, 2023. Just one note on the sound quality. We understand there were some people in previous meetings that weren't able to hear us. So the township has invested in new infrastructure. So we're hoping the sound quality is better and that those that are listening can hear us more clearly. So again, I'd like to call to order this meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to just do a brief land acknowledgement. So we respectfully acknowledge that the township of Monaghan is located on the Treaty 20 Mishi-Sagi territory and the traditional territory of the Mishi-Sagi Ashanabeg. We offer our gratitude to First Nations for their care and teachings about these lands. May we honor these teachings. Thank you very much. Everybody's got a copy of the agenda. Can I have any comments on the agenda? Anything you'd want to add, or just can I get approval? If not, can I get approval of the agenda?
I'll move approval.
John, seconded by Lance. All in favor? Okay. So we'll go into closed session. Just before we look at the minutes from our last meeting, which was June 26th, I would acknowledge that we have a new member who I don't believe is here tonight, but we have a new member, Griffin Brown. So we welcome him to the committee and hope that we will see him at the next meeting and introduce him to the Trails Committee. Okay, thank you for including the minutes of the meeting held June 26, 2023. Does anybody have any comments, edits, additions, omissions from this meeting? No? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Seconded by John, all in favor? Okay, wonderful. Moving right along. Section 7 reports, financial report. I believe that is going to, or Chris is actually going to do that. Okay.
The financial report, contracted services, $1,500 is budget approved. We spent $1,526.40 with a $26.40 overage. Materials and supplies, $4,800 budgeted. We've spent $4,612.27 with $187.73 remaining.
Okay, and was that the first part? Was that for the spraying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's been paid out.
Yes.
Okay, and the materials was the ordering and pickup of the wood from Hope Mill.
That's correct.
Maybe that's 225 boards, 250 boards. We doubled our order because we hadn't ordered for a couple of years.
I can't remember how it was. Yeah, 250.
250 boards. I think our regular order is about 120. So that's all cut, picked up, and stacked at the yard. So thanks, Chris, and your team for helping us with that.
Very well.
And we've still got about 24 boards left from our old file. So we're in very good shape to be able to potentially build some things, which we're going to talk about as we move further along the agenda. Any questions for Chris on the financial report? Does anybody have anything that they know of that's coming in?
There's no outstanding invoices.
Okay, wonderful. 7.2 work update. Mark.
Through you, Chair. So just a motion to receive the financial
Oh,
report.
yes. Okay, can I get a motion? Okay, John, seconded by Lance, all in favor.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Work update. Carter.
Thank you very much, through you, Mr. Chair. We are in the midst of developing a new website, so that's really exciting. So we're going to be using the same platform that the municipality uses. So we're switching everything over. That should go live towards the end of November, early December. So that's fantastic. We're looking forward to that. We're in the midst of delivering all of our education programs this fall now that school is up and running. So that's going well. We were able to complete a number of upgrades to some of our conservation areas this summer, so I'll just let you know that there's new signage on the Jackson Creek Trail, some other infrastructure, benches and trailhead signs. Also upgrades to the Haroldtown Conservation Area. There's the washrooms and a picnic shelter there now, and upgrades at Warsaw. So we're really happy about that. We're also in the midst right now of the public consultation phase for the amendments to the Trent Source Protection Plan. So those are related to aligning the source protection plan with the new technical rules put out by the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, and some other updates just to make it easier to implement. And that's all based on input from our municipal partners and the public. So that consultation period is September 1st to October 5th, and all the information is on our website related to that. The municipalities were circulated directly, and those directly affected were also notified. So lots of information out there. You can certainly let me know if you have any specific questions. And that's it. Thank you.
Any questions for Eric? No? Okay, thank you very much. Can I have a motion to receive the auditor report? Right, seconded by John.
I am here. I can.
Okay, chair report. So it's myself and Kurt responsible this month. I have not heard anything from Kurt. I did everything north of the fourth line. He was doing everything south of the fourth line. Generally speaking, for my part, I think we're looking in quite good shape. Everything seems to be, I didn't notice any huge problems. There are a couple boards that need to be fixed, and I might get it in the next week to be able to do that on Baxter Creek Trail. Just some stuff that is a bit spongy, should probably be replaced. There's the issue of the first bridge on Baxter Creek Trail, which we're going to talk about in 8.3. And Maria, I did want to talk to you. I've had a couple of people ask about the flagging that was done for spraying. Is that going to come down? Or
It has, yeah, that's what I've been doing in the last, yeah. So
Okay,
I only left, I left slash tape like this, where there is still active poison ivy right adjacent to the trail, just so that people stopping don't step right into it by mistake. It's often under other stuff, so people don't see it. And there's very little of that. The only reason it still exists is because it's under other stuff. So when it's sprayed, the overlying canopy protects it. And then there were two areas of very dense growth deep in the plantation that had never been sprayed before. And so I left those markers up just so I remember to go back to that area so I can find it.
Okay.
When we go back next time. But adjacent to the trail itself, there won't be any flag tape. There are still tape markers where our original survey was to mark the road allowance, because I thought that we shouldn't lose those markers. We've paid big money to find those, to put those stakes down, and they're not always clearly visible when everything's well foliated. So that's a different type of tape. It's kind of a yellow orange, and it's much more opaque than this stuff is. So it's easily to tell apart from our spray tape.
Okay.
So that's it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I had a couple of comments where people were worried that maybe it was surveys and flying away or something.
No, I understand. I was slower to take it down this year because it had been sort of a slower than usual response to the spray, just because of weather and stuff. But Sean got a very good result from everything that he sprayed. I think the best ever. And he really enjoys working with us. So he'll be keen to be back next year if we want him.
Great. Okay. Anybody have any other comments on if they've noticed anything, any attention in the last few weeks that needs to be addressed or addressed? No? Okay, well, we'll get Kirk's in. But I think, we'll have a larger discussion on sort of, some of the effects that we're gonna talk about here later on in terms of, improvements that need to be done generally. Obviously, the boardwalk past the Trilling Bridge, as I mentioned before, the first bridge on Baxter Creek Trail, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think we're
I guess
in fairly good shape on.
I do have one comment. What we used to call the lost loop of Baxter Creek Trail, it's beginning to close in again, and I think it's partly because the crew that goes out to to Weed Whack doesn't see it because it isn't actually marked. We don't have markers up there. And there's only a very small part of it that actually needs to be weed whacked, but it's in quite a ways. So I think if we identified the trail with markers, they'd find it easy to be in there. It's really beautiful too. They'll like to be in there. And it's not very long. So, but it is the original. It goes right along the creek rather than away from the creek before the old snowmobile bridge.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think we can talk about marking it, but I mean, I assume, weed whacking is done for the year. So, yeah.
Mhm.
We could get out again and give that a turn, yeah. So maybe the best thing it would be is just get one of your maps, mark it on it, so the guys can take the actual map out with them, yeah.
Okay, we can do that. All right, yes, and we'll go on for next year.
Yeah.
Perfect. That might be, well,
Yeah.
might be a good place if we don't actually identify where it goes in and out, just to put a piece of that sort of tape, because it's hard to find.
It is.
I was down, there was a tree or two that were down or in the road, and it is getting overgrown, but you can still follow it if you can find it.
Mhm. Okay, all right, well, maybe we can give Chris a map tonight, then just note for his team.
Mhm.
Okay, any other discussion with that, or can I have a motion to receive the trail report? The other one.
I will move. I will so move.
Okay. I'll second it. All in favor? All right, great, thank you. Okay, you'll probably remember that prior to our summer recess, we had lengthy discussions about what to do with the boardwalk past the new floating bridge. We had mentioned it's lovely to have the new floating bridge, but the infrastructure beyond that, and maybe to some extent right before the floating bridge coming in from the Millbrook side, is in need of repair, and that's obviously because the trail had been closed for upwards of 3 years due to COVID and beaver dams, et cetera, and the disrepair of the previous bridge. So Chris and I went out. Chris had arranged three contractors. So we went out. I think that we went out for two.
I believe you were two, yes.
Anyway, and so Chris is going to tell us sort of the results of that process.
So we would Pat on the route there. We did go out. We had Kawartha Deck Builders. This quote, we had our RJ machine, and we had the gardener. We did receive quotes from all three. Recommendation from staff is that the Millbrook Valley Trails Committee approved Kawartha Deck Builders, Millbrook Valley Trail Boardwalk repairs consisting of 440 square foot section in the amount of $15,223.30, including net municipal HST, plus a 10% contingency of $1,522.33. Total budget approved request is $16,745.63. And so recommendation number 2 here, I'm just going to change the last sentence in it when we get there. We're going to amend that. The Millbrook Valley Trails Committee approved the funds to be funded from the Millbrook Valley Trails Committee, $16,500 from the Baron Cohen donation in the Millbrook Valley Trails Reserve account, and this is where we're going to amend the $245.63 from the Parks and Facilities 2022 surplus. So since the report, we have found out that we do have an estimated $5,700 left in the 2022 surplus from the bridge replacement after we received the extra funding that covered the bridge that can possibly be used here as well. We'd be able to get an extra 168 square feet, totaling approximately 608 square feet, where we're at 440 square feet of the boardwalk right now. We did break it down, so it's in the cost per foot is how we came to before the deck builders, so they were the cheapest at $34 a square foot. Whereas the other two were, one was close, but the other was considerably higher. So we're looking for a committee motion to utilize these funds from the Baron Cowan donation for the boardwalk repairs.
May I ask a question? So I was on Baxter Creek Trail last week and, I don't know whether it's been elves or other volunteers, but some really substantial repair has been done, some of it quite makeshift, but it's a lot more passable than it used to be. I wouldn't say it's up necessarily to our usual, higher standard, because they were working with, some of the underlay wasn't, was still punky and stuff, but it's really a lot better than it was and quite passable. I don't know how much it will stand up to winter frost and it's freezing and, that kind of thing. And it still, I think, needs, real attention. Yeah. So does anyone know who did that work? Because it was a lot of work.
So we did send park staff out to replace all the
Okay,
broken boards.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, yeah. So that's really
It
appreciated.
is closed, but we do realize people are
People are using it.
still using
Yeah,
it, so
yeah.
we did
Mhm.
replace them.
Okay, so 440 square feet, how much, you're saying 440 square feet plus how much? That's another 100?
I believe it's approximately 168 square feet. With 5,700.
Okay, so, about 600 square feet. How much is that lineal?
I haven't broken it down to that. So there is 1,720 square feet.
Yeah, so like we're not, this isn't gonna do it all.
So this is a third of it, pretty much, approximately. So there's 1,700 square feet on the west side.
So
This would cover
past the
600
floating
on the,
bridge from the Millbrook.
yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we're not gonna touch, it's not gonna touch the boardwalk approaching the floating bridge from the Millbrook.
So if you floated on the east side of the bridge, there is 445 square feet on that side. So we concentrated on the west side, from the floating bridge on, that was the worst section.
Yeah.
So we were working from the bridge, heading towards the fairgrounds as far as we can get with the funds we have.
Okay, so of course the deck builder's quote could be install of 440 square feet plus another 168 square feet. 4 feet wide boardwalk using pressure treated wood. Frame is built out of 2x8 boards, 4x4 posts and concrete deck blocks, and 2x6 pressure treated wood decking. So it won't be cedar. So we won't use any of the wood that we have just purchased. Correct? Okay, and what happens to the existing wood there?
These will be built right over top. It's too cost intensive to remove all the old stuff.
Okay,
So this is going to be over top on posts. So you won't see the under. The boardwalk that's existing underneath.
but the existing boardwalk there is 40 feet.
Yes.
So how's it gonna be hidden? I guess I'm confused.
So where the posts go in, it'll just be notched out there, posts will go through.
Let's see, I'm not sure.
And there'll be a concrete pad underneath, a concrete block that it'll go in.
Okay. Okay,
So technically, it's the same width. It's just going over top. It's not sitting on it because it's not a stable area to sit on. It's just gonna sit on post concrete deck blocks. Virtually is just gonna be over top of it, just a new walkway over top.
Okay, so that, if that covers a third of the boardwalk that's existing. If we go ahead with this, does the township then deem that sufficient to reopen that trail, considering there'd be still be 2/3 of boardwalk that wouldn't be?
I think we would have to inspect and make sure that it is safe. The rest of the area.
So presumably we need potential.
Potentially it all needs
reconstruction.
to be replaced at some times. Like it's in rough shape, both sides, right?
Okay, I mean, because, you know, the goal of this is to open up the trail, right?
Yes.
Officially and have, you know, the money that was spent on the brand new bridge be, you know, appreciated. So I guess what I wouldn't want to see would be a third of it fixed and then we'd still be 2 or 3 years down the road to get the other 2/3 fixed. Okay, and what, just from a safety perspective, what the 1/3 portion that gets fixed, which would be the height differential between the existing boardwalk. We're gonna have to step from the existing, from the new bridge, we're gonna have to step up onto the new boardwalk for 600 square feet and then step back down to that part, the old boardwalk.
So it'd be we're using 2x8 boards, so there'd be an 8-inch, maybe 10-inch, depending on how old that one underneath is.
Right.
So whether we need to make a little ramp up. Or whether that's a sufficient step.
Right, yeah, but I guess my question is that sort of part of the quote from for the deck voters, or
No.
would I be TV responsible for that? No. We'd be responsible. Okay. Other thoughts or comments? Well, I guess I have one from a financial perspective. Does that essentially eliminate the foundation money?
Yes, so you would be, yes, utilizing your 16,500.
And that's all that's left in it. Sorry.
Well, no, you got-
The timeline from Fourth Deck Builder.
Where the deck builders are, as soon as we approve it, they said like 2 weeks. Stops.
2 weeks to start.
Yeah. To get into the start.
And
And I have spoken with Dawn at Orca and we will require a permit. But they are willing to work with us.
okay, but is it something they expect to get done with snow flies?
Yes.
Actually, I'd be willing to hear from the CAO.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see. Sorry about that, go ahead.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chairman, just a comment, and I might not have heard that correctly, so please forgive me, but just a comment on the process regarding the budget. I think the question was if we fix this particular portion of the sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here, but
Boardwalk.
it's boardwalk. Thank you. Boardwalk. No matter what decision is made, we really do need to make sure that the boardwalk and the trail system is up to a standard because it is a public use system. So we're required to do that. So we will be advocating for council to actually continue to provide funds to get this boardwalk back up or this trail area back up in operation. So it's important. I might not have heard all of it, but I just wanted to make sure that you recognize that even with the use and it looks good to show that we're utilizing as much funds as we possibly can to do that work. But I wanted the committee to recognize that staff, hopefully with the support of the committee, will definitely make this one of the issues that we would like council's consideration for our capital budget for 2024.
Okay. But only a third would get done in fiscal 2023.
With the funds we have, yeah, that's correct.
So would we be looking at the earliest spring of 2024 to potentially start the other 2/3? construction plus any potential reconstruction. As you say, East Grand Bridge.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman, and we will, and Mr. Allison and I have talked about, for our viewpoint, making a case, as well as the new Parks Recreation Plan also talks about the importance of trail development and the maintenance of trail development. And so we are definitely going to be, it's a council decision, of course, and it's at the budget time, but we'll certainly be advocating for that as well.
Okay, would that require any input or presentation from this committee?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, your support. I think Mr. Allison's going to ask you at your next meeting to talk about what is important, like putting your recommendations forward for council for consideration through the budget process. But we're hoping that the committee supports, putting the recommendation that capital funds need to continue to go towards the trail system and the importance of the trail system for Millbrook Valley Trails to continue, because it's important for us not only to develop trails, but it's also to maintain the existing trails that we have. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
If that helps, yes.
On behalf of my position with council, is that is one of the things that I've added to my mandate to bring forward for council for next year. So you have my vote of support for that as of now.
Okay.
I've spoken with other ones and not to speak for the responses yet, but they understand the importance and appreciate what it is that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we're like all in the vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
John.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would really like to see if there was some way, even if we have to pay extra to get the first section of the old one taken out. Like, it seems sad. I walked across the bridge today because I hadn't been down to see it. And if you'd asked me, I would have said I stepped off the bridge onto the trail. So that shows how faulty my memory is. But it really seems to me we got this lovely bridge here. It seems unfortunate if we have to walk across this bridge and then the next year we put in a new piece and you have to step up 8 or 10 inches to get onto the trail. If there was any possible way to make it blend in smoothly, like, if it's the case of the old trail or the old boardwalk being too high, I'm like, I was impressed with the way the supports were put in for the bridge, because it looks to me like they're adjustable as the mud settles or whatever. And if we're planning on, if the plan is to have cement blocks or whatever, I don't know how to call them, blocks or whatever they were called, if they're using that system, for the next section, it would be, seems to me there should be some way to adjust it so that we could get a taper off the bridge onto the trail and then continue it along at the standard height. But I don't know if it's possible, but it just seems to me that would be a reasonable goal. Now, you walk it all the time, so you can tell me if I'm way off base.
Well, I think that's so. I think just aesthetically, cosmetically, it would be nicer to be able to come off the bridge and have some continuity in terms of the level. But I wouldn't object to there being a step up later on if necessary. If later on it is actually wetter than it is right near the bridge.
But there is, as it comes off now, it is level.
It is.
Okay.
Well,
So right now,
well.
the bridge, so you're just looking at on and off the bridge?
It seems unfortunate if seems odd that you'd have to step off the bridge and go up somehow.
So the bridge, the section going onto the bridge and off the bridge, they're both on this lane.
Yeah.
So we could possibly lift that end up.
Oh.
It's level
Okay,
all the way across. So it was built that way so that it came down on the ends.
Yeah.
So both ends do tip down. Yeah.
So maybe that's.
So whether I'd have to look at it, but I'm pretty sure there's gotta be like a 6-inch drop on that. Walking down. So yeah, to bring it up to the end. We could probably do something to have it so the bridge just walks straight on the new boardwalk.
That would make me a happy person.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's only at the bridge, that's, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem with the way the bridge is built.
Mhm.
And they are all adjustable posts, so if they're on mud pads, if it does sink somewhere, you can pull the bridge back up.
Good, thank you.
When you say 430-foot long boardwalk, you're talking 430 feet past the new bridge?
The 440 square feet?
No, on your first paragraph there, overview. Over the years, the approximate 430-foot long boardwalk has deteriorated, become weakened.
Yeah, so that's the whole length of it. So it was 100 and it's 131 meters, that west side,
And then we're talking right to the old,
right to where the boardwalk ends. So right from the bridge to towards the fairgrounds where the boardwalk ends, there's 131 meters there of boardwalk.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought we.
So I converted it over to feet because everything else was in feet in the quote, so. Yeah, so there's 430 feet on that side, there is. I think there was 34 meters on the east side.
Okay, I thought we were closer to 200 meters.
There's 34 meters on the east side,
Yeah, I'm talking past the boardwalk.
Yeah.
I thought that's what
past
we had.
boardwalk. Right here, I got it here,
It could be closer to 600.
131 meters.
Yeah, I thought we were close to 200. Yeah, but did we? Is that what we measured today? Or did you guys take like that?
We measured it and for the deck builder.
Okay, I mean, a few of us talked about this over the summer. And there was some thought as to. Well, maybe before I say that, I'll ask. We need Orca's approval for the cement blocks on the ground. Is that?
You had already spoken with Dawn.
I did speak with Don and told him the construction, yes.
Okay,
And so it'll be part of the permit process. We didn't foresee any issues.
okay. So a few of us have talked about this over the summer and gone out to look at it, just from the Trails Committee itself. And talked about the possibility of essentially using the wood we have that we've recently purchased to build over what's there now. So the way this, you know, we were concerned about the cost of this was going to, the impact this cost is going to have. So essentially, we would build what we usually do with 2x8 runners and then 4-foot sections of boardwalk, and then place it on top of the existing boardwalk. So essentially what we're, almost what the word the deck builders is proposing. But I guess we're doing it sort of ourselves and using cedar as opposed to pressure treated, because I don't know the pressure treated is going to be needed. If it's going to be sitting on top of the existing deck boards, because it wouldn't be in contact with the wet ground. But I don't know, that's just one of the ideas out there.
So, are you proposing to have it sit on the old boardwalk?
Mhm.
The issue I have is that the old boardwalk is deteriorated, and all the runners are deteriorated, like it's gonna constantly shift, like it does need to have, it's gotta have supports on it to keep it even.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess we're talking about shims and things, but. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I guess. You know, when we talk about using the foundation funding, we always thought it would be for something like remarkable in the way of a project, and replacing boardwalk kind of feels kind of unremarkable, but without it, the success and progress we've made with replacing floating bridge is not usable. The other thing to consider is that the Baron Cohen Foundation donation. My understanding of it was that it would always be best in their mission process if the people they were giving the donation to included an educational aspect in the work that they were doing. And having that continuity provides an educational opportunity that's close to town for both the kids in the schools and the teachers and the whole community in terms of getting them out there using proximity to the creek and the diversity that we have out there to be part of, not necessarily a formal education program for the community, but for the kids, a formal education program. So it's not underusing the funds for what they were intended.
No, I agree.
I think if you think back, like, the bridge wouldn't have came to fruition without it, right?
Mhm.
We were just lucky enough to get grant money afterwards
Mhm.
to cover that,
Mhm.
and then the money came back to the Trails Committee.
Mhm.
So it is a spectacular item out there, but
It is.
the bridge being replaced, and it couldn't happen without the donation.
Through your chairs, so just like a quick follow-up then, if we were to say, try to defer the vote until next month so that we have more of the members here so that they have their vote is heard or said on that, Chris, does that stop us from being able to have this project completed before snowfall this year if we kick it a month?
I think if we kick it a month, it's going to be pushing it, yes. Yes.
So could we, because I agree with Lance, I mean, it is quite a large decision to make with only 3 members.
And I'm new to the board, so I'm gonna go with whatever you guys were the majority to, so.
Yeah, I mean, could we have a special meeting in the next week or two?
So just through you, Chair, speaking procedurally, absolutely, the committee can either defer this report, or you could call a special meeting if that is up. If that's your choosing, or you are welcome to make a decision as you do have your majority here today. It's your choice.
I do feel. I mean, I don't get a vote, so basically it's the period
No, absolutely, you do vote,
on this.
absolutely, yeah.
As I said, I'm gonna go with whatever you guys, I'm supporting whatever decision you guys want to make. You are always, the best interest of what you think the money should be spent.
Well, I think,
As I said, if you think the other people would feel that they weren't even involved in this, then we can coordinate to have a special meeting where everyone knows that they're able to meet by Zoom. We can maybe have it for tomorrow. I'm flexible on that, whenever that's available for you guys, and then at least we can sleep at night knowing everyone felt the date. That's
Kirk and Dave especially. would be nice.
Yeah.
I would think so, yeah.
And Gary.
All of you, you're all very passionate about this, so I think that this is such a big decision to spend.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we had so many regrets this evening,
Regretfully.
but unfortunately, nothing we can do about that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it is, it's justified to be able to have a larger discussion with the larger group on this, so we need a motion to defer. What's the process here? Because we don't know yet when the next.
So if you're looking to do,
Is gonna be.
if you're looking to do a special Millbrook Valley Trails meeting, the chair has the authority to call a special meeting. We do need 48 hours notice, so to post the agenda. So if you would like the committee to do a motion to call a special council meeting to discuss this reports of Millbrook Valley Trails corridor repairs, we can absolutely do that, and that allows, and if you want to say within the next week or in the month of October, that allows staff flexibility to work with your availability.
Yeah, I could send an email out and get time. I don't want to, I certainly don't want to leave it to the end of October for you. But I don't think we can arrange it for 48 hours, right? I mean, 48 hours from now.
Yes.
I need to send an email out and see if people are available so that we don't end up in the same position. I want everybody to be at the table. Okay,
So
so
we can defer the report until the special council meeting or special Millbrook Valley Trails meeting is called.
okay, and it'll be. Do you want me to send that email out to check people's availability?
We can work in collaboration.
Sure. Okay. All right.
So it'll be a motion to call a special meeting.
Okay. So can I have that motion? I can do that. In favor. Okay, thanks very much, Chris. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate all the work you've gone into this, but I just, I would hesitate making a decision with only sort of the bare minimum at the table.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, okay.
I guess the motion's already in the past. I guess the question is, the request would be to do as quickly as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe a deadline of this week or something like for next week, so that we.
Yeah, I'll send an email tonight and just see what people are down. And we could do it via Zoom or combination of both. We can do it here.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, moving on to general business, tree removal and replacement update. So you may remember, I think it was in June, certainly just before our last meeting. There are a couple three dead trees around the mill pond. Township staff kindly removed two of them. One of them, I understand Mr. Allison might require additional work, might be too large for his team to handle. But he could fill us in on that. And I wanted to, they were dead, obviously, which is why we're cutting them down. But I was inquiring about replacement. I was under the impression that there was a tree replacement policy at the township. So I made some utilities and hoping that I can get some answers. So Chris, if you have any details on this?
I will have to look into that a little bit further. I know, we do have, a tree replacement policy that I'll have to follow.
Okay. And any update on the
As
large?
for the large tree, I have been speaking with Public Works and, they are following on the list to take it down.
Okay,
So
so
we'll
it's
do
something,
this fall.
it's something that the township could do without having to subcontract.
Yeah, they have a little bigger equipment.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, we're happy to help if there's anything we can do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's great. Okay. Yeah, and then the other thought was talking to Orca about, potentials. We didn't want to replace them with seedlings.
No.
But depending on what maybe Chris comes back with, we can sort of see what, obviously we're not going to replace them. Trees.
Yeah.
with it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can follow up with Chris directly and we can talk about potentially suitable species based on the location. Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Maybe vote against Manitoba maple.
I didn't even think that's on the list. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's not quite considered an invasive species, but almost.
Manitoba, definitely. Yeah.
It is.
Norway is what maybe what you're thinking.
Manitoba's an invasive species. Classified?
I don't think it's classified. I would have to look that up, but certainly not recommended.
No.
Yeah,
Considered a weed perhaps. if
Yeah.
not invasive.
exactly.
Okay, so that's great. And I don't know, Chris, if it's part of the potential replacement, but would there be stump grinding? Because the stumps are still there, but I don't know what the sort of township. does.
We don't have a stop cracker.
You don't, okay,
We
just sort of,
just try to get it down. Close to the ground, we'll take out the bit.
yeah, okay, well, that's fine. I mean, it's not causing it. It's not a hazard. That's just fine. Okay. Great. Approval of, oh, sorry, Karen.
I don't need a motion for that. Just looking for clarification. Is the intention of the committee to provide a list of species that you would be acceptable for a replacement or?
Well, I would assume that maybe the township has a replacement program in place. I imagine there's a list already identified by the township, and I don't know that there'd be any strong feelings from the committee of what that species would be, because I would assume that the identified species would be very friendly and well researched. Yeah. Yeah, we can put a fashion. That's the same. That's all. But yeah, we'll wait to hear back from Chris. Okay, replacement of Cedar Trail Bridge. So I'm not sure how many of you have been out on Cedar Trail, but it was identified earlier this summer. Information here. That's it was sort of in need of some repair, specifically to widen the decking, build new handrails and steps. So Dave Dextino has really been in charge of that, and he has gone out with some members of the mountain biking club, and he has widened the bridge to 4 feet, and there are now ramps instead of stairs to make it more friendly. And the railings are almost done, if not done by now. Haven't had them in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Were you out there yesterday?
I can't remember when I was out there, actually, but it's really nice.
Yeah.
Done a really nice job.
But is it done? Was it done when you were there?
Yeah, well, they put,
Yeah, I've got
let's see here.
okay. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
It's great.
So much safer and nicer looking,
Yeah,
not mossy.
yeah, it was getting kind of.
Yeah.
It may have been mentioned on the work plan, and if it is, it could be removed.
Yeah. it's true. We can update it. Okay, any comments or concerns about that? Okay.
Motion to thank.
Yes, yeah, well, we can thank Dave, at the next meeting. 8.3. So we don't need a motion to accept that. Did you correct? No. So let's move on to 8.3, replacement of Lower Meds Bridge. So I guess that should probably read Baxter Creek Trail Bridge. The township, I believe, early this summer received a tweet, maybe about the condition of the bridge. Some form of social media post. Yeah, because Bridget sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
Of a user, not complaining about the bridge, but expressing concerns of its, shall we say, longevity. So those who remember, we did some fairly extensive rejigging, shall we say, of that bridge on Work Day in May of this year. But it's one of the original bridges. It's the first bridge on Baxter Creek, one with handrails, and it is got wooden beams, etc. So it has been on work plan for some time to replace, and there were steel beams that we had purchased pre-COVID in the yard that were sort of earmarked for that replacement. Those steel beams unfortunately aren't usable anymore. But I have put together a sort of a cost of that bridge. So as we sort of have agreed, we're no longer going to build large bridges with wooden substructures anymore. We decided that steel is the way to go because it will last all of us, and that we will only ever have to replace the wooden top structure, the deck structure. So I put together a cost analysis and of construction in the same way that we had built the bridge down by the fairgrounds a few years ago, and more recently the station trail bridges. So steel beams sitting on concrete piers, sunk into the bed on either side, with cedar wood deckings and railings of 42 inches, but whatever. The township wants us to put the item. So we're looking at 2 24-inch steel I-beams with 4 foot on center holes drilled for the 6x6. You need 60 feet of 4x4 pressure treated, 48 feet of 6x6 pressure treated. All the top boards, the railings, the sides, etc. The boardwalk we have existing in inventory thanks to our purchase of wood from the Holton Northern year this summer. And then we would need 120 pickets for the railings, if we wanted the same look and feel for the station trail bridges. And then so 16 feet of sono tube. And I didn't do the calculation of concrete, but more than 2 bags of concrete. Anyway, altogether, at current prices, the steel has actually come down since I quoted last year, but we're looking at about $1,500 before we just It's $1,700 with HST, but my understanding is the township. You get the HST back. Things like that.
A portion is removed.
Unfortunately, okay, anyway, yeah, so those, it's a $1,700, we can do it. In terms of hardware, I've checked in the shed, and we've got enough hardware to do it from purchases of the other bridges that we built years ago, because we bought in bulk from Refasco, so we have lots of galvanized paracord and things like that we like distributed to drill into the steel substructure. So it's yet another thing to do on our to-do list, but I guess I would ask the township where this may lie in terms of priority. I think if it was a high priority item, there's a potential that this could get done this fall by the committee and volunteers. It would be a fairly good weekend job for us to do. The good news is that, of course, that we don't have to carry things in very far. It's right there. We can get things trucked in right to the Willow Trailhead at the end of Distillery Street, and it's parked. And of course, working with Orca to get permission and documentation to be able to put some two post holes into the bank on either side. But it's going back to the first section of this meeting, it's money that we probably have, but barely. There was some discussion about the township replacing the steel beams that were damaged during the yard reconstruction, and that's the beams are about $750 of the $750. Anyway, I don't know, Chris, if you've sort of had any other discussions about what the priority is on this. I mean, it's going to have to be replaced eventually.
It is, yes.
But does it need to be replaced in 2023?
I think there's a lot of work to be done in the trail system. But what you're proposing, I think we need to see some drawings, and the building inspector would have to review them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because there is a lot of liability. Just putting together a bridge in there.
You know, for sure. And we worked with
We'd have to work with Orca. And
Yeah.
They would have to see drawings and permits and approvals.
and that's what we did with, and we worked with Kyle for the station driver.
Yeah.
It would be same design, but yeah, no, I understand.
I think if we could get that together, then it'd be something we could review.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want to show up to them saying I didn't know how much it costs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have drawings, but I could put some together. So, yeah, sorry.
Is this then something, through your chair, is this then something that we're going to try to do this year, as you did ask, but
Well, again,
I
I was,
provided with drawings, is this a 2023 thing, or is this something that realistically for you guys, with your time availability and everything else that would be possible to do?
I think it's something we could review, but we also are at the end of our funding.
well, how much do we have left? In materials?
$187.73. So, and we were over budget $26.40 in contracted services. So really there's $161.33.
Through you, Chair, if I may. Given the $161.33, if there's no additional money that, again, I'm not aware of, Ms. Hurley did allude to earlier in today's meeting that the committee in October will be asked to provide their comments and their requests to be included as part of the Millbrook Valley Trails budget for 2024. So again, that is an ask that Chris will take on behalf of the committee to council. But if there is these good projects and kind of that higher dollar value, I think that might be the good opportunity at next meeting. So think about it and come forward so the committee can put forward their formal asks to be included in the 2024 budget. again, if there isn't money this year, Chris. will have to speak to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's, you know, around was, you know, around my question of, you know, in terms of the township's viewpoint, how quickly does this need to get done? I don't know that that bridge is gonna last another 2 years, but could it probably last the summer, this winter of 2023-24, probably. I would just add the caveat to the obvious point that it is, I think, by far most heavily used train. And then what I wouldn't want to see would be taking that bridge down and having it out of service for weeks or months, because I mean, it really impact. You could go the upper trail, but you can't really, you know, it would have a big impact. So something, if we do replace it, it'd be nice to get it done, but we can't go around. And I think it's doable because we built 3 other bridges in the same way, you know what we're doing. You know, I have all the wood pre-cut. The steel is delivered with the holes blown into them already, right? And so, you know, it's not an easy job, but it's not, you know, we're not sort of figuring things out on foot. But there will be dismantling of the existing bridge, which will have impacts, and then there'll be digging the holes with the concrete piers and letting them set. Again, things, but there's a good point of that trail of the commission proposed. Which isn't the end of the world, but you know, it's also not something we could do in the village anyway. Any thoughts on that discussion? Did you go on it today? You must have gone on it today.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
About the same it was the last time I was on it.
It's wiggly. It's wiggly.
Yeah, but it. Yeah. One can hope.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not gonna fall down.
No, I thought I had a thought there. Oh, I know. Do we have to let that concrete sit for a week before we put steel on it?
No, I'm just saying by the time we take down the old bridge. All of their big
Yeah.
holes, we probably need to let it sit before the hour. Here. Gotta be 14, gotta
So
go
we
below.
probably, we're trying to fit the bridge out. The bridge is gonna be out for a week. If we drop the bridge out, did the holes, then it could actually cure for the week and then put the steel on and put it together.
Yeah, take the bridge down take the bridge down on a Wednesday, take the holes the same day. For the concrete. When I start the bridge on Saturday.
That sounds practical.
Through you, Chair, if you want to provide me with, or township can provide me with a letterhead of the Millbrook Valley Trails. If you can provide me with a photo of what the bridge is like, I can put a sponsorship submission to Nexicom. This is part of their kind of like community good works program, and they have funding through the movie dollars that they receive from the movie shoots that come there that have to be invested directly in Millbrook. So this would be something that I think I could write a good letter of appeal to see if they would fund the whole $1,500. It's not an expense. I'm not saying that they say yes, but having worked there, I know that that money's available. It's just they don't advertise it to the community. But if somebody asks, their mandate generally is to say yes.
Would there have to be a recognition of Mexico?
We could put just something like a little, like the same that they have with the bike rack. There's in front of the pastry peddler, just saying, you know, proudly supported by Nexicom, and there's a sticker on it. Other than that, you don't need to put a big plaque or whatever else. It's, you know, they're very modest with what they've done in the past.
Okay.
And I can appeal to the fact that your staff uses this bridge when they go out to walk for their lunch breaks, and they may even be able to make some of the John, who's their general contractor on staff, available to assist in some of the, you know, if we're going to be doing the work for these township stuff. You know, also for a little bit later. So, but it's one of those, if you don't ask, they can't be turned down, but you know, I don't mind on behalf of the person to apply for sponsorship. It's
Okay.
you guys feel no, then that's fine as well. It's kind of like a lot of things that you can't look at place. If you don't ask, you can't turn it down.
I struggle with sponsorship where names go up on.
Yeah.
Big letters, so I wouldn't be the one making the motion to do it if that were the case. But I might not vote against it.
You want me to see first before we even make a motion to go forth, that deal with that and I'll contact them with a formal.
Well, let's get permission, I mean, let's put together these drawings and stuff and.
Yeah,
especially
okay.
with the township first,
Okay.
to see what we're doing. I mean, again, we know what's gonna have to be replaced, but, we've got a lot on our plate and, you know, if this boardwalk replacement's gonna happen further up the trail, then they're gonna need potentially, this could access that bridge to get across.
This could be saved to ask for 2024 and have them complete the rest of what the larger project is that we need money for to finish the other 60%.
Yeah, I mean, I read today, of course, I read today that's gonna be quite potentially quite a bad wind channel. Just wonder about that bridge and frost heave and stuff. In a way, I mean, that's sort of what we had to fix in May. Anyway. Marie, you want to talk something?
Yeah, I share, John's, concern about, what I would call vanity signatures on,
Sorry,
on
I didn't think through your mask. I didn't hear you.
get the, I think just on principle, I have concerns about, vanity
Vanity, sorry. I didn't hear that.
type.
Yep.
So this would be different, I think. This is a longstanding community organization, institution, commercial, but nonetheless very involved in the community, and it would be nice to see them involved in a way that is differently community building than their area of expertise is. Be nice to draw them into the community in that way, and it might encourage other people to do so, other organizations and entrepreneurial organizations to do so. But if we do go down that route, I think it would be very good for us to establish how big the logo should be allowed to be. It certainly shouldn't be the most eye-catching thing on what we're building. And I think something like a logo, I don't know, standard.
I think
Yeah.
one option could be that you have a post
Mhm,
at the entrance to the trail.
mhm,
So it's not even on the bridge,
mhm.
just saying, this, the bridge, the Back Street Bridge, proudly sponsored, refurbishment supplied by Nexicon. And then you don't even have to have it physically on the bridge so that it's not aesthetically,
Yeah.
you can have a recognition board at the entrance so that takes away from anything that goes within the trails themselves. It's just at the,
Yeah, I think we can have the discussion in more
Yeah.
detail when we know what.
Yeah.
And we know what our budget situation is. and all that sort of stuff.
I just thought they'd be a good fit. They're celebrating 125 years coming up, so they're also, I know, looking to do something in the community that, kind of speaks to. Only they get us all off of or landlines, that would be great, but that's not gonna happen, so. Yeah, okay.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Any more discussion then on that? I'll work with Chris and Kyle and sort of see what of that. Okay, 8.4 CWF student volunteers update. That's actually you.
Yeah, we had 3 young volunteers, and Morgan Thompson, their leader par excellence, come out from the Wild Outside program that the Canada Wildlife Federation was running this summer. And they're all high school students. 2 were from Peterborough and 1 from Durham region. And they really enjoyed being out there. I gave them a quick turn on the trails, took them up to the rail bridge, showed them the trout ponds and the Baxter Creek oxbows. So they knew what it was that we were trying to protect. And they, had almost instantaneous investment in doing that. We have a lot of Phragmites growing in the ditches along Zion Line now. And, it was more than we could handle in that, I only had 2.5 hours of their time. And we only spent 15 minutes really. I really marched them to the rail bridge and around the pond, but they got it. So the Phragmites is something that they acknowledged they had never actually noticed out in the world before. So I said, as you're going back along 115, take notice of what's growing in the median, take notice of what's growing on the side of the road on either side, because we're developing a huge monoculture of non-habitat plants that are completely obliterating diversity of flora and fauna. The unfortunate thing is that they're quite beautiful when they're blue-green, and when the bloom is burgundy, they're very beautiful plants. And I occasionally see crafters use them in their wreaths and door hangings and stuff like that. But they are really beginning to obliterate the landscape. And the fact of the matter is that if they get in around the obstacles of Baxter Creek, there will be no stopping them, because it's so hard to get in there to cut out one plant or two, and they're so prolific. They put out so much seed. So anyway, we took down, we both cut off the seed, the blooms before they went to seed, and debulked an area of about, I would say, 75 feet, which, given that, I had untrained colors with me, was pretty remarkable, I think. But there was at least 4 times that length that should have been done this summer, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse as time goes on. So I would really appreciate the township considering whippersnippering that Phragmites a couple times next year while it's young, before it's developed seed heads. The intersection at Carbeth and Zion, it's getting taller every year, and it gradually becomes a sight line problem at intersections.
Has Sean said anything about spraying it, whether he's got herbicides that will take it up? I think there's something that he used on it.
Yeah, I mean, there likely is, but I mean, from the point of view of, how much chemical we want to put in the environment, it is easy enough to keep under control if you cut it low enough, early enough, that it drowns, particularly if it's going to be inundated for a while, and it can't get the oxygen it needs. It really does die back. I mean, the experience I've had doing it at the Upper Med entrance is that if you're ferocious enough with it, it gives up after a while, and gradually other things grow up and shade it. Other things grow up and shade it, and then it doesn't grow. Even little coltsfoot that's only that big around, if you get enough of it growing, it can't come up underneath it. So we just don't have the manpower to do it, with seculars and shears, and the high school students aren't okayed to use whippersnippers or anything like that. So that, it would only, I would think with a whippersnipper, it would probably take 2 hours twice a year, twice a summer to do that whole area before it's gotten bulky. Some of the plants were 9 feet tall. Yeah. Because they're down in the ditch, so you don't realize how tall they've gotten, but they're getting big. The more mature they are, the more seeds they put out.
Might be a conversation when we're doing our budget, whether we should. I would guess you don't particularly want to share your equipment, but it could be something we could do on a work day if we got our own whippersnapper.
We do that.
We do have work,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, it's the timing though, right? It's, you have to get it done, when you can see it.
Yeah.
And May, it's usually May or April, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, you don't, it isn't really quite out yet. And then fall is too late.
Yeah.
Now it's already, so that's
say
the
you were to
thing.
tap somebody on the shoulder, you didn't mind using a whippersnapper, you could supervise that person. If you're saying 2 hours,
Yeah,
we could have a special work day or something.
yeah, in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it hard to attract people's attention in the summer about stuff that involves rubber boots and and yeah. I was really pleased with these young people. They really took it on and none of them had boots on and they didn't mind. They saw what it needed to do. So. That's great.
So is that something we'll get next year then?
Pardon?
Is that something that they'll be able to do next year?
I don't think they know,
Okay.
but I think they enjoyed it and Morgan was very happy to do it. So.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. Well, thank you for that. Update.
Mhm.
Any questions on it? No? Okay. Any new business that we want to add to the agenda for next month? Other than obviously the stuff that they've talked about, right? Okay, I will send out the email tonight, hopefully, for the special meeting. And we'll have hopefully a good discussion in very short order, so that Kristen's team can move forward. Okay. Motion for adjournment. Next meeting date, sorry. Do that. Next meeting date, October 23rd, Charlie reports on, and then he's gonna get in touch with Kristen. His email will be on the email that I sent out, right? And you can maybe show him the ropes, yeah. Let us know if you need any help on that. Okay, adjournment. When's our next trail?
When's the next time you and I go for a trail?
Yeah, sometime early next week I could go. Yeah.
Well, John, you're doing the next trail report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, sorry, the next formal trail
Yeah.
report, you mean? I'm not sure when
Do you have that,
we're
Rick?
next.
I do, I can recirculate the trail
Okay.
report and also coming into the October meeting, we'll be setting the trail report for 2024.
Yeah.
With regard to
Yeah.
that, though, when we were speaking earlier about our goals, there might be an opportunity this fall for us to do that north route.
Oh, sure.
Beyond
Great.
Fallis line that we had talked about.
Yeah.
It might be easier for us to get.
Just break it
Onto the
into
rail
hiking
bed.
boots.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Thank you. So through you, Chair, I do just need you to call up the mover and seconder for that motion. Everyone raised their hand, but for the minutes,
For the adjournment.
yeah.
Maureen, seconded by John,
Sure.
all in favor?
Thank you.
Okay,
All right.